you folks have good adoption, good traction recently. Talk a bit about what is driving it.
Yeah, so I think one of the driving forces, and by the way, we just recently hit, I think 400 million Docker pulls, I think something 65,000 GitHub stars, so some really impressive numbers. I think a lot of it is the love from the community that we get, right? People really love the fact that they can use this tool very easily on the local machines, on their laptops. So in general, like this bottom-up motion of adoption has helped us tremendously make the product really widely known, widely adopted, and now we're increasingly also, targeting the enterprise and buyer personas. But we're very much deeply rooted in the developer community with our product.
Can you talk about what does your product portfolio look like? Is there a community edition? Is there an enterprise edition? Talk about that.
The main, everything built on top of our cloud emulators. So the emulators currently are AWS and Snowflake, and we're pushing out Azure in the next couple of months. And the emulators really provide the baseline for local execution of testing and development. On top of the emulators, we're building what we call developer experience features, DevX features. So we have one feature, for example, that we call App Inspector. It allows you to do deep inspection of your serverless application. You can get insights around what is the topology of my app. You can look at the events. You can look at event payloads and so on, and really give you much more deep capabilities for debugging and development. Another feature we recently put out is what we call chaos engineering. Chaos engineering allows you to inject errors or latencies into the APIs to test your applications for resiliency, right? So what happens if US East 1 goes down, right? What happens if my database is at capacity? And we can simulate these situations in LocalStack and make sure that your application is resilient to these kind of faults. Because things do happen in the cloud, right? So it's not happening very frequently, but just a couple of months ago, US East 1 was going down, and it's good to be prepared for these kind of error scenarios beforehand.
So if developers or enterprises look at LocalStack, what are they looking at? Because it's like the whole local whatever development is going back to local development once again. So how should they look at you? And if you can point out some of your competitors and what edge you have over those competitors?
I'll start with maybe the key value proposition. It's really basically three pillars. It's efficiency, cost savings, and quality. Efficiency, just from the feedback loop and just time savings, like many hours spent in a developer week. So that's the key pillar. The second one is around cost savings, because I think there's some estimates that a third, like 30% of all cloud resources are just wasted and not really being used. Somebody forgets to shut down a cluster over the weekend, something like that. And the third pillar is around quality, because you shift left your testing, and therefore you just by tendency increase the quality of the application. So those are the three main pillars of our value proposition. When it comes to the competitive landscape, there is it's interesting. There's not that many direct competitors out there right now that are doing exactly what we're doing in terms of the local cloud development experience. But there's a few tools in the observability space, for example, like serverless observability, giving you insights into your application. Or there's another set of platforms, for example, LocalStack SST is one of them, that give you a so-called remote experience. So you have the local look and feel, but it actually executes your workloads in the remote environment. But what we do is pretty unique, because we give you this fully localized environment that you can take with you in your CI/CD pipelines, in your local machine, or anywhere we kind of run these workloads.
And also reading that you folks also have community edition, but you're merging into kind of enterprise or single image. Can you talk about what is your strategy there?
That's right. So we recently made a change in our community offering to combine the images into one. We want to provide a more unified developer experience and user experience, because we saw that there was a bit of a fragmentation between the OSS version and our advanced offerings. The main change from a user perspective is that we ask for sign up. So previously you just downloaded the image, and nowadays you also ask just to create, give us your email address, sign up for an account, and then you can leverage the full power of the LocalStack cloud platform also that we offer with our web application, with some of these DevX features that I mentioned before. So that's kind of the direction we're going into now. And that allows us to also interact a bit more directly with our customers, with our users, and also optimize the product experience over time much more directly.
If I ask you in general, you have been in space for long, company may be 40 years old, but you have been in space for long. When you look at whole local cloud development, when you look at the emergence of agentic AI, when you look at because of geopolitical crisis, more sovereign cloud, sovereign AI. Where do you think they are heading? What does the future look like for developers?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting observations. First of all, there's a certain tendency towards, like, again, decentralization. You know, it's kind of the pendulum is swinging a bit back and forth. If you look at the early days, in the 70s, 80s, it was mainframe, and then the web came about, which was decentralization. Cloud is another centralization. And now I think we see another wave starting of more decentralization, pushing things more to the edge and to end devices. I think the other acceleration we see is, of course, with agentic AI, right? So I think the world that we see today, if you look at 1, 2, 3 years into the future, it's going to look probably quite different from how we develop software today. So code is being generated much more quickly. So the pace of acceleration is actually quite remarkable with some of these models that are out there, which again means, a lot of people are talking about AI slop and code that's being generated that's maybe not trustworthy, which is even more critical to have strong quality gates, make sure that we test very diligently all the code that's being generated. And I think this will have a big influence on software engineering as a whole in the next couple of years.